All right, welcome to Crypto News and Investigative Reports. I'm glad that you're able to join us. Um, I kind of want to just go over a few of the stories that I'm following and share that with my viewing audience. I'm glad that you're able to join us today. I don't know if you heard of this guy, Jim Rickards. He's over he does a lot of books, and he's a big-time author. And this is The Monetary System, A Race Between the SDRs and Gold. That's a great story that we're following. The Death of the Dollar, The New World Money. These are the links. The links to these stories are right below here. And then one of the ones I think I'll start with is the cryptocurrency market is worth $2,902,000,000 USD by 2023. That was something that came out this week. And after you probably already heard of Andrew Ross Sorkin. He was on CNN this week talking about the coming financial crisis. And there's two stories, and these two stories seem like they're running parallel. One story is the cryptocurrency revolution, but the other story is the coming financial crisis. And so you got the cryptocurrency revolution on one major story, and then you have the projected financial crisis that's supposed to be an imminent coming, and that's something that the United States and every other country are going to be dealing with. And so I think that there's one story on this side, the cryptocurrency revolution, the projected financial crisis coming on this side. I think those stories have something to do with each other, if not directly, maybe indirectly. There is a reason for cryptocurrency, a digital asset. Bitcoin was born out of the 2008 financial crisis. So those two stories are running together, and I want to kind of dig in and take a look at that. And Andrew Ross Sorkin is actually one of the people that was on. He actually, his 2008 crash helped elect Donald Trump. I don't want to really get political there, but here's the link to that particular story. It's a CNN video. I'll try to find it and pull it up if we don't run into too much time here today. The other story, people around the world are starting to trust Bitcoin more than the central banks. Here's the link to that story right here. It's an interesting story because the question that I've been asking on my friends on Twitter and a couple of different other places is cryptocurrency a hedge against the coming financial crisis? Is Bitcoin a hedge against the coming financial crisis? There's a lot of conversation out there about it. There are pros and cons. I think at this particular point there's more pros than cons. I think people are actually saying that cryptocurrency is a hedge against the coming financial crisis. And so there's a link to that story. It's actually a pretty good story. Wall Street firm beheves with crypto products as Bank of America joins the race. And here's the link for that. Bank of America, the central banks are going to be the fall guy. They're going to be having some problems with what's going on regarding cryptocurrency because of the peer-to-peer, because no need for an intermediary, and all of those other great different reasons. So that's one of the things that that's going to be a big problem for central banks. How are they going to keep customers? How are they going to continue to charge customers? And they're going to do it primarily by turn into data analytics companies. So that's a great article, a great story. Bank of America freezing accounts. This is a story that I that I ran across this week. Is the Bank of America freezing the account of customers suspected of not being U.S. citizens, and there's a link there. I'll get that link. There's a link there for it too. I didn't put it up there. All right. The New York Times, they had an op-ed post, "What we need to fight the next financial crisis." And there's the link to that. And that's what I'm saying. You're getting this cryptocurrency news, but you're getting a lot of news about financial crisis. It was on CNN this week. It was in the Washington Post this week. Financial crisis, financial crisis, financial crisis. And so, these two stories are running together. And, people that are into cryptocurrency, I mean, there's a lot of great news that are coming out about XRP, and Ripple. XRP is coming out of beta, going into some of the banks for real trials. And now But the other story is that cryptocurrency story versus that financial crisis story. I can't mention that too much. And then here's another story. It's 10 years after Lehman. How will the next crisis start? That was another story this week. Congress has taken away some of the tools that were crucial to us during the 2008 panic. It's time to bring them back. At some point, do the Chinese decide? That was one of the points in that Lehman article. Another one of the points in that article is that at some point, do the Chinese decide not to buy the U.S. Department's debt anymore? That's really big, because if the Chinese decide not to buy U.S. debt anymore, then that can cause a huge financial crisis as well, because, you know, they own so much American debt. And the other thing is, I think I talked about the coming financial crisis. I may have put this on here twice, a CNN video. Oh, and then we have Stephen Thomas. I went back and I found he's the Ripple CTO, and I found a comment that he made that was really interesting. And it says 10 years. Oh, it's the 10 years after Lehman Brothers. Bitcoin and Wall Street are closer than ever. Stephen Thomas, the Ripple CTO, who discovered Bitcoin through a random browsing site, stumbled upon it in 2010, and then went to work as a Ripple CTO before starting his own venture. This is what he said to CoinDesk. He said a lot of people early on in the Bitcoin community were very worried that central banks would look at this, which is Bitcoin, as a fundamental threat to one of the key pillars of power of the government, which is the ability to issue currency. And so a lot of people early on stayed anonymous. They did not reveal their identities. And then it says, as it turns out, he said, most of the supposed central bank, quote, in quotations, Illuminati, and most of the central banks Illuminati were simply curious about the new technology. And here's the link to that article right here. I thought that was interesting that Stephen Thomas would say something like that and be quoted about the central bank Illuminati. I mean, and that's a Ripple CTO before he left Ripple. So, you know, Ripple is already working to be a world currency. It was already dealing with that kind of an issue, because it knew that it's as a SaaS company out here, like so many other software as a service companies, they knew that they had some software that could really disrupt the world. And they knew that back then. They knew central banks would have a problem with it back then. And Stephen Thomas made that comment to CoinDesk back then about what he thought, why people were staying quiet about it. And then that central bank Illuminati, that really popped out at me. But anyway, here's a link to that right there. You can go and read his quote. What is it? The consequences of allowing cryptocurrency takeover or trying to head it off. This was the Financial Times. Fiat currency is the ultimate backed by state monopoly on violence. If you don't believe that, try not paying your taxes, you end up in prison. Cryptocurrency is ultimately backed by math, code, and voluntary participation. What makes it possible is trustless transactions, transfer of value. You can trust without the need for a final violent enforcer of that trust. This was a pretty interesting article. Here's the link to that article right here. And then a 40 trillion cryptocurrency market cap, definitely possible. Pantera Capital CEO. 40 trillion is pretty interesting. And here's the link to that story. So there's some pretty good stories we're following this week. I won't be able to drill down on all of them, but I think they're all interesting and all have a lot to say about where we're going with cryptocurrency. Let me get to Twitter. One of the things that I try to tweet everything before I actually, while I'm actually reporting on it. I try to tweet it out as well. I just want to start with this. Let's get into it. Thank you for joining us. Blockchain. I went to a blockchain conference. Yay! I think what has to happen is these blockchain conferences, you really got to brush up, and I'm saying this for whoever's watching my videos as well as myself. You got to brush up on your blockchain education. It wasn't really that much about cryptocurrency, even though cryptocurrency is like the main thing that that's happening with blockchain. The blockchain conference was really good. They talked a lot about hash graph technology. They talked about a lot of different startups, what startups they're having with this blockchain at this blockchain conference. There's a lot of different startups. There's just a lot. There's a lot going on. You know, they've got other levels to the blockchain now. There's got a lot of different companies that want to start up using blockchain, healthcare companies, food service companies, even maintenance companies want to start using blockchain. And so that's what the conference was about. I was kind of more interested in the cryptocurrency part of it, but it really wasn't that much. It was all blockchain developer. And this was the Blockchain Developers Conference in Technology. Fortunately, I got a chance to be interviewed. I kind of sat right here in one of these chairs. This guy interviewed me. He wanted to know about my crypto news and investigative report project, what my goals are, and I kind of shared with him that, you know, I'm just trying to get the information and share it on YouTube like a lot of other people that I know that are trying to do the same thing. So this guy was really nice about that. He interviewed me. Hopefully I can get the video and share the video with you. But it was a wonderful conference at the San Jose Convention Center last weekend, and I had an awesome time. This was my second blockchain conference. And like I said, there was a lot of different startups. This is a lot of different blockchain startups, other different reasons why to use the blockchain technology. And then before that, I had gone to another blockchain conference before that, and I went to see Hoshin Zhang. I think that's correct pronunciation of this guy's name. But he worked, I went to hear his speech. He wasn't able to make it because he had a family emergency. But he was going to talk about the central bank digital currency and the blockchain applications in the banking sector. And I really, really wanted to hear this guy, but he didn't make it at that particular blockchain conference. So I've been fortunate enough to get to a couple of that was going into registering for that blockchain conferences. That was the week before, and so anyway, at that blockchain conference the week before, I talked to Tom Throwbridge. This guy is over Hashgraph. He's really into Hashgraph technology. He talked about governance versus convergence. And that was kind of a real deep subject for me. I had to, like I said, I need to really brush up on a lot of what's going on. It was these blockchain conferences are more about the technology of using the blockchain than it is about cryptocurrency. It's more than just Ripple, and it's more than just Ethereum. It's more than just Bitcoin. It's really they're really pretty in depth regarding the whole blockchain structure and where blockchain is going. So I had a great time. Like I said, I got to do some brushing up on that. Anyway, let's get into some of the. Let's go to this Ripple article first. Okay, let's start at the central banks. All right, so now we're still not getting any solid news out of the central banks. They're still giving us mixed news. We don't know, are they actually still solidly going to go forth with the central bank digital currencies? Are they going to do? Are they going to team up with some other already something like a Ripple XRP that's already out there, that already is best for banking? Ripple XRP is really moving forward with commercial banks, signing up commercial banks, working with payment providers. I don't think that they have any central banks. I haven't read that Ripple XRP has any central banks, or any central banks are about to use them. But I know that we have a lot of information out there about Ripple signing up commercial banks. Here he is. Zimbabwe Finance Minister hails Swiss central bank in investing in Bitcoin. And then the European Central Bank has no plans to issue cryptocurrency, says the European Central Bank president. Treat Bitcoin like Switzerland does, Zimbabwe's finance minister tells the central bank. Central Bank of China supports the development of a new blockchain-based trading platform. And it's interesting because China didn't want any cryptocurrency at all. They hold all of the debt in the world. Of course, they don't want anybody to start using a bunch of cryptocurrency and using blockchain, because they'll have to make the adjustment. And most of their debt is tied to a fiat currency. And here's China's central bank supporting the creation of a new trading platform. European Central Bank will not pursue the issuance of a digital currency. Now, that was a big one. It says there was one day ago, the European Central Bank will not pursue the issuance of a digital currency. That's actually really big. The European Central Bank has no plans to launch a digital currency due to blockchain immaturity. Let me see if we can let's look at this article right here. Let's go to that article first. Hopefully it won't slow my computer down. All right, European Central Bank will not pursue the issuance of a digital currency. According to a letter written by the European Central Bank president, the European Central Bank believes that there is no need to digitize the euro. So that's really big. The European Central Bank is not considering the creation of a digital version of the euro at this time, according to the institutional president. Believes blockchain technology requires substantial further development before it can be considered for the future applications by the European Central Bank. So there we got one, and the European Central Bank and the American Central Bank, which is the Federal Reserve. If they're not going to go with any digital asset, neither will anybody else. I mean, it's going to be real tough. Let's see, have not yet been thoroughly tested and require substantial further development before they could use it in the central bank context. He also said that the demand for euro banknotes continue to grow and cash remains a popular means of payment. And so also that the European central banks are going to start their new 100 and new 200 banknote next year. So that's another reason why, you know, they got a lot of banknotes out there. So they're going to start their 100 and 200 banknote next year. So like I said, the news coming from the central banks is still confusing. It's not clear. One time they said they're going to make a central bank currency, and then the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, they say they're not. So the news has just been up and down about the central banks. We can't, you know, and the central banks are pinnacle to mass global finances. If the central banks doesn't agree to, if they don't come into agreement, then you won't get anything. You'll just get XRP with bank providers and commercial banks, because commercial banks don't create money. I think I said that in one of my last videos. It's no problem with the commercial banks. They don't do anything. Commercial banks are no different than check cashing places down the street from you. You can take your check to a check cashing place, and that does the same thing as a commercial bank. Then you can cash your check, you can pay for it, and you can get money orders, and you can do all that stuff at a check cashing place. That's the same business that central banks provide. Except that you can go into a commercial bank and get a loan. You might even be able to get a loan now at check cashing places. They might do payday loans. You know, the same type of business that a check cashing place and payday loans do. They do the same business as commercial banks, and so that's going to be a real big problem in the future. We're talking about cryptocurrency and digital assets. It's going to be a real big thing. So without the central banks on board, central banks print currency. That's why it's going to be very extremely important to get these people on page. This guy says no. European central banks will not pursue the issuance of a digital currency. So if they say they will not be kicking out digital currency, that shuts it. That, you know, that's it. All right. Now let's see here. what is this? This one I want to go to. Inspired by cryptocurrencies, countries experiment to financial system. No, I don't want to go with that one yet. I want to just get it. Okay, yeah. How about some Ripple news, guys? Ripple and the R3 team up with 12 banks to trial XRP and cross-border payments. That's good news for the Ripple XRP holders. It's which I think is Ripple XRP. I've always said is the best cryptocurrency out there. It's the best. There's nothing better. They got the best use cases. They are the best, hands down, no matter what anybody says. Ripple XRP is the best. But what's great news about this is that they got 12 banks, commercial banks. And so, like I said before, when you say banks, you got to qualify your bank statement. See, because when this says just banks right here, this is not central banks. This is not talking about central banks, because central banks don't know what cryptocurrency they're going to use. All right, so this means commercial banks, not central banks, commercial banks. All right, and so just keep that in mind. And it says, okay, in a tweet heard around the world, our CEO Chris Larson recently revealed the future of fintech is bringing together like-minded companies like the R3, CEV, and Ripple. More details coming soon. Today, we are announcing that 12 banks belonging to a consortium led by the financial innovation company R3 is trialing Ripple native digital asset XRP to scale liquidity and reduce the cost of ineffectiveness of cross-border payments. This is big. This is it. Hopefully, all the testing goes well, right? Because everywhere else it's been tested, it's been going pretty good. The R3 member banks involved in the trials are Barclays Bank, BMO Finance. Barclays is a worldwide bank as well. Barclays Bank, BMO Financial Group, CIBC, Intesta Sanpaolo, a couple of these other banks, Royal Bank of Canada, Santander, all of these commercial banks. These are commercial banks. Rather than relying on Nostro accounts to hold various currencies around the world, banks can enable real-time value exchange by using independent digital assets. This blockchain-inspired alternative to correspondent banking provides on-demand liquidity and dramatically reduces associated costs. This is really big news for Ripple XRP. Like I said, that XRapid, once that XRapid cat is let out of the bag, it's a whole new ball game because you got XRP, the cryptocurrency. So it's a whole new ball game going on. When I read this, and this right here, 12 of them is the headline. What can you say? The headline speaks for itself, guys. In addition to benefiting the liquidity effectiveness and the Nostro consolidation, banks can save up to 60% in payment processing costs with Ripple solution and XRP. Ripple is the global money. Ripple is definitely going to be the global money. You can hate on me if you want to, but Ripple is definitely going to be the global money. Nobody's got this kind of clout. Nobody's carrying this kind of clout. Ripple has the clout when it comes to commercial banks. It really has the clout, and it is really taking over. And it's really making that change. Andrew Irvine, head of the Canadian Commercial Banking and Partnerships, BMO of Montreal. That's what I'm saying. It's the head of the what? Commercial bank. Just remember that. Commercial banking. So payment providers, MoneyGram, American Express, Western Union, commercial banks, boom, Ripple is taking over. They're the big guys in the house, and everybody else is little munchkins. Ripple is they're that professional. They're that their software, SaaS, software as a service. They have the best service as a software company. They are your, I told somebody the other day, they're the best software company out there for banking. There's no better software company, for banking. Ripple XRP is, Ripple is Ripple.net, and Ripple Labs are the best for it. All right, so that's some great news. We got some other stuff. Oh yeah, I found this was pretty interesting. MasterCard files blockchain patent for business-to-business transactions. Now, that's how some of these commercial banks are going to survive too, is by charging, because they're probably going to have to pay out fees for making this transaction and using the software, Ripple software. However, the cost is going to come back on the consumer, right? That's usually how it works. I mean, when banks have to make changes, the consumer has to pay the price. And so MasterCard is already working to one of those business-to-business patents to charge the consumer for using the service. That's basically how payment providers work: interest and fees. And so they're creating new ways to charge you fees. MasterCard is one of those companies. I wanted to get also, so is Bank of America. It's kind of doing the same thing. Let me go back here. Bank of America is having the same kind of issue where they want to charge. Bank of America freezing accounts. And there was another Bank of America article that I had for you. Bank of America freezing accounts. And oh yeah, Wall Street firm. There we go. Let's see if we can get to that article. Let's see if we can pull it up for you. Bank of America joining the race. No. That's not it. Joins. I can't highlight it because I got it on a BEHIV crypto products. Oh, here we go. Got it. Whew. All right. So, see if it comes up. Sorry about that, folks. My computer's a little slow. That's why I try to. But here it is. Here's the article. It says Wall Street firm beeves with crypto products as Bank of America joins the race. And this is what I was talking about commercial banks. Commercial banks. They got to figure out how to charge you. How are we going to charge you so we can continue to keep our money? Another Wall Street giant and another crypto product, sizable size of interest clients, and an opportunity to invest early. This has been the story we are probably hearing for the third time, blah, 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 blah. All right. B of A may introduce a Bitcoin derivative connected to non-derivative forward. It's a non-derivative forward. We don't even know what that is. I have no idea what it is. But the product that Bank of America is looking to develop seems to be a Bitcoin derivative connected to a non-deliverable forward. A complex product only the best of the street, the best on the street can understand. It's basically nobody. When I read this article, I couldn't understand what it was either. A non-deliverable forward. According to Investopedia, non-deliverable forward are a cash settled and usually short-term forward contract. I have no idea how this is going to work, and how it sounds like something that Bank of America is basically doing for their upper class rich investors. Basically, this sounds like something that Berkshire Hathaway is going to do to put money in and take money. As a commercial bank, they're going to be taking money. While the NDF gives exposure to the underlying asset, it also opened doors for a variety of arbitrage, speculative, and helping opportunities. This provides us with an insight that maybe Bank of America's clients are looking to get exposed to cryptos but do not wish to do it directly. So Bank of America is going through all these different gyrations. As you go out and read this article, you'll find out that they're going through all these different gyrations to try to make money to stay in business. Bottom line, that's what Bank of America is trying to do. Going to all different types of things just to continue to make money. Last but not least, let me get to this last article about Bank of America closing a person's account. All right, and I think here's the article here. So what was happening was the Bank of America freezed these people's account. The Bank of America sent them a letter and asked them were they United States citizens, and they had been United States citizens, so they didn't respond to the letter. And so when they went to the bank, their assets were frozen, and Bank of America had taken their money. And so they were like, wait, I mean, what did we do? Why is Bank of America taking our money? And Bank of America said, because you didn't respond to the email that we sent you, whether you're U.S. citizens or not. And so Bank of America said that by the early part of next year, 2019, they're going to be sending out letters to all citizens to make sure you verify that you are a United States citizen. And if you don't, they're going to close your account. Like all financial institutions, we are required by law to maintain complete and accurate records of all our customers and may periodically request information as required by law and regulation. This is not unique to Bank of America. This type of outreach is nothing new, and the information must be up to date. Therefore, we periodically reach out to customers, which is what we did in this case. Over time, we reach out to all customers to verify their information, not only specific customers. If we don't hear from a customer in response to our outreach, at a last resort, we may restrict the account until we can confirm it is in compliance with regulatory requirements. And so these people have been living in this country all their lives, and Bank of America ended up trying to take their money. So just be aware of the fact that first part of next year, if you get a letter or email from Bank of America, make sure you respond and make sure you let them know that you are a U.S. citizen so they will not close your account. All right, these are what commercial banks are trying to do to stay alive. They're doing all kind of different things to stay alive. All right, so I think I've talked enough. I'm going to cut off here. Maybe next time I'll be able to drill back down in some of these other things. And keep you up to date on what's going on. And then I want to shout out to all of the people that are on YouTube that are out there making these videos, that are helping people, giving people information. That's what I'm all about. I appreciate you watching today. Please subscribe and hit that button, hit that subscribe button, and also please hit that bell so you'll know when we're updating, we're giving another video. We're going to try to do some outdoor interview some people regarding cryptocurrency, and we want to kind of venture out a little bit. That's kind of the plan. All right. I'll say, okay, until next time, have a good day, and we will be talking to you soon.